Okay, so to start off with, I just need you to state your name and your relationship to Union Square.
To Union Square, okay. My name is Leslie Keller, and I grew up here in Catawba County, so I've kind of been to things at Union Square all of my life. And I'm working here at Hickory Landmarks Society. I did a book called Lost Hickory, and it is about the buildings that no longer stand within the 1 mile radius of the original city limits of Hickory, which includes Union Square.
Right.
So I know a good bit about the history of Union Square and the things that are no longer there.
Okay, so you've lived in Catawba County your whole life. Was it Hickory or just all around?
It was Conover.
Okay, cool. Next question would be, are there things about the history of this place that you consider very significant? Obviously, being a historian.
Yes. Well, I do consider it significant that things are no longer there,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the things that were there were what drew people to Union Square.
Okay.
And there was a major change in about 1970. Before that, Union Square was the place to be.
Okay.
People lived downtown, they shopped downtown, they worked downtown. There were churches downtown. So everything you really needed to do was there. Entertainment, everything. In the late 60s, early 70s, there was something called the Hickory Redevelopment Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through and decided what buildings would be torn down. And in conjunction with that, Catawba Mall opened on 70.
Okay.
About the same time. So that shifted the shopping district out of downtown Hickory. And it changed it a lot. There was not as much activity downtown. So now it's more of the festivals and the farmers market and things trying to bring people in to downtown.
So I know there's a couple stores down there. Are some of those still the originals, or have all of them changed?
Some of them are still the original. Well, some of them are original to certain periods.
Okay.
The oldest one down there is probably 2 or 3 back from the corner that comes up by 4th Street.
Okay.
And 3rd or 4th, the other end, the west end of the
Mm-hmm.
square. That building was Lutz Drug, and it's been there for a long, long time. People that went to Hickory High School remember back in the 50s, maybe even into the 60s, they got to leave school to go to lunch.
That was the place to go.
Lutz Drug had their little lunch counter, soda shop, so that was the place where they went.
Oh.
About 2 back in from that is an earlier one that was built in the 1880s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably the oldest building left.
That's crazy.
Most of those are around turn of the century.
Wow. Did they still have the festivals and those kinds of things back then?
They did have a lot of things going on downtown.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They had a parade, of course, for Christmas and other things as well. But farmers market has always been a really big thing down there. Even
Really?
back into the 1800s, people brought produce in on wagons from the mountains.
Oh my
And
goodness.
sold it there, so you know
Wow.
it really has a long tradition.
Just
in
keeps
downtown.
going. All right. So, why do you think it's specifically important to the city of Hickory?
It really helps to identify Hickory. Hickory grew up around the depot, especially, and the railroads, and that's what brought development into the area. So, you know, Union Square just kind of grew there as the shopping district next to the railroad tracks.
Oh wow! Now that there's the restaurant right there, right next to the railroad track. Has that been there for?
That's the depot.
Okay.
It's the 3rd version of the depot. It's been there since the early 1900s.
Okay. Oh wow!
And it's been a restaurant a couple of different times too.
Really?
It was the Hickory Station restaurant a long time ago.
Oh.
So they're finally bringing it back.
Yeah, we actually went in there. I guess when we were moving in back to school, and we were like, "Wow, I've never been here before. It's really cool. They just have everything." So the next question is, what experiences specifically have you had there that makes it special to you?
Well, I was thinking about that after I talked to you and I knew you were coming over. And I remember one thing, I don't know if it makes it special, but when I was in high school, there was some kind of little Christmas tree lighting ceremony there. and our high school chorus sang there.
Oh, wow.
And it must have been the coldest night of the year. It was, but you know, I've taken part in things there throughout the years.
Wow, that's pretty cool, actually. And how have you been changed as a result of Union Square, or have you been changed?
I wouldn't say that there's any change related to Union Square.
Okay. And like you said, this place is special to Hickory. It is special to you. Why specifically would you return to Union Square?
Probably for special events.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do a lot of shopping downtown.
Right.
But yeah, it's special events, festivals.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. Is there anything you'd like to share that we haven't asked you about Hickory and Union Square specifically?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. And the last question would be, would you consider this place to be sacred?
I think it is sacred to a lot of people. I think it's kind of dying out because of the move away from it. But generation, like my mother's generation, was very special to her.
Okay.
Because she did a lot of things downtown. She would spend her Saturdays down there at the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And people who lived even out in Highland and some of the outlying areas, they would walk in to downtown to go to the theater and go to the, where the Hickory Community Theater is now, was the City Hall.
Oh, really?
But they had performances there as well because they had the stage.
Oh, wow.
So she's talked about going to see a magician there.
Mm-hmm.
And different things. WHKY radio used to be in the hotel that was down there.
There used to be a hotel?
There used to be a
Oh,
hotel.
my goodness. Wow.
The Hotel Hickory was where the Wells Fargo Bank is now.
Oh, okay.
And my mother went there to play the piano on the radio.
Wow.
Wow.
So, all kinds of things
Oh, my
going
goodness.
on downtown.
Well, it sounds like it's changed a lot. I can imagine it back then, but I feel like it'd be so awesome. I mean, I think it's cool now, like learning all about these different things that are there. That, like, they still have the tree lighting ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that might be it.
I was looking through your book and noticing the hotels and stuff and just amazed that they were even here in the first place. Do you think there's like a part of the history you think that's really like, what's like captivating to you or really fascinating to you?
Well, I like that part. You probably noticed in the book that I covered the hotels pretty thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that. In the late 1880s, Hickory was a resort.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, there were several hotels down there. The Hotel Hickory was the last one that was left standing, but it was our modern hotel.
Was that
It was
the
built-
most important one?
Maybe or maybe not. It may have been the Hickory
Okay.
before that, because it was actually kind of, well, all of them were kind of the social hub. They would have dances there, holiday meals, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the civic clubs, the Rotary and things like that would meet in the hotels.
Wow.
So it was kind of a center for your entertainment and social life. But there was a whole succession of hotels down there.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Strangely, the Hickory ended up being called the Bates Motel.
Wow.
And it was about the same time as Psycho, so that could be why they turned it down.
Well.
Yeah, it was torn down in the late 60s. It had deteriorated a good deal.
Right.
Also, for our project, we're trying to, express the history and get a really good feel for the history and bring it kind of into modern day and see where it is now. Would you emphasize bringing, more livelihood to the Union Square now as it was in the past?
I think that's what they're trying to do with some of the festivals and, Oktoberfest and things like that. But I really think that maybe with the people being more mobile,
Mm-hmm.
especially, and doing things in other areas, living further away, not shopping there as much, just coming for special occasions. I think it's just it's a shame
Mm-hmm.
that more people don't use it, but they may have torn down a little too much.
Mm.
I agree with that.
Now, they're working on building an outdoor facility, I think.
The sales?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And like an outdoor bar, I guess. It was an outdoor like restaurant sort of thing right there next to where the white they are. Do you think that would help?
It may, but I think you would have to have more to do than just come downtown to eat.
Eat and shop. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Any other questions you can think of?
I mean, I think there's people in the back.
Do you have any interesting stories about Union Square? Like interesting things that have happened?
A lot.
I'm sure there is a lot.
I could give you a reference for someone who could tell you all the scandals.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I don't know if he would. I'm sure there are any number of scandals related to downtown. One of the early ones, there was actually a fire downtown.
Oh, really?
And, well, there were a couple of fires downtown. They originally built in wood, of course.
Mhm.
And by about 1901, the city passed a restriction that you had to rebuild in brick
Mm-hmm.
because they'd had so many things. But this particular one, someone set fire to Corinth Church, which was over in that park where the cabin is,
Mhm.
off of 2nd. And while they were trying to put out the fire there at Corinth, they broke into the city hall, which was also the jail,
Oh,
to
my.
steal some arrest records.
Wow.
So they kind of knew who did it. Yeah, that it was a diversion.
right.
But they burned down the church to divert
Oh my goodness.
attention.
wow.
And yeah, there were a number of churches downtown as well. They kept moving out. The 2nd Corinth was built down there, and then the 3rd Corinth as well. One of the ladies that lived downtown that taught school, they had private schools for the younger children,
Mhm.
and sometimes in their homes or a building out behind their homes. Her name was Mrs. Thurston, and her husband was very interesting. He was a minister, one of the first ministers at First Presbyterian Church.
Mhm.
His parents were missionaries in Hawaii.
Wow.
So they're the Thurstons that you hear about if you go over there to the museums there. But he had been married before and had a teenage daughter. He was also preaching in Taylorsville.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his daughter were actually drowned crossing the Catawba River
Wow. Whoa.
to go over there for the preaching. And then she started the school to support herself and her 2 younger children. The original city cemetery was kind of downtown. It was in that park where the cabin is.
Okay.
And they moved the bodies out to Oakwood when they opened Oakwood in the 1890s. So yeah, all kinds of things going on.
That's so cool.
And Thurston was moved there, and he's buried in Oakwood now. But originally he had been buried at the Presbyterian Church, which was just across the rails from Union Square.
Wow.
So all kinds of things going on.
You already talked about future. Do you remember the first time that you went to Union Square?
Before that mall opened over on 70, there were actually department stores downtown. There was a Penny's and a Belk's.
Mhm.
And I remember going to Penny's to get Girl Scout uniform.
Oh,
So my brown
wow.
uniform came from downtown, so that's probably 6 or 7 maybe.
Wow. That's cool. I feel like we pretty much went over all of these.
Do you think there's pieces of Union Square that you think people should know more about?
The things that are left.
Yeah.
Wow, there's just so much history
Mhm.
in the buildings that are there as well as the ones that are gone. And I think we're learning more. Some of the buildings downtown have been put on the National Register of Historic Places recently.
Oh.
So that'll be some protection for them against being torn down, I believe.
Mhm.
But there are always new things coming to light.
Mhm.
And new people moving in. One of the buildings that's down there that's been a drugstore ever since it was built has recently been sold. And all of the original features are under, like paneling or something. So it would be nice if they would bring that back to the way it looked
Yeah.
before. Who knows if it'll happen.
You can always hope.
You can always hope.
Yeah, I think that might cover it.
Yeah, that was really great. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.